The invitation arrived on a Tuesday. You are cordially invited to celebrate Linda Bennett's Nursing Excellence Award ceremony. Saturday, April 20th, 6 p.m. Grand Ballroom, Riverside Medical Center. I held the card in my shaking hands, the tremor that had become permanent after my 5th round of chemotherapy. Saturday, April 20th. The same day as my scheduled bone marrow biopsy to determine if my leukemia treatment was working. I called my mother. Mom, I have a procedure Saturday morning. I might not make it to the ceremony. What procedure? Her voice was already irritated. Bone marrow biopsy. To check if the chemo is working. Hannah, this is the biggest night of my career. I'm being recognized for 30 years of nursing excellence. Can't you reschedule? These appointments take months to schedule. You've had so many appointments lately. This one can wait. I need you there to support me. Everyone will be there. Mom, it's a bone marrow biopsy. For leukemia. It can't wait. Leukemia. She said it like I'd told her I had a cold. Hannah, you need to stop with this medical drama. You're 34 years old. You look fine. You're probably just anemic or stressed. These doctors overdiagnose everything. I closed my eyes. We'd had this conversation a dozen times since my diagnosis 6 months ago. Acute myeloid leukemia. Stage 3. 5 rounds of intensive chemotherapy. Hospitalizations for infections. Blood transfusions. I have cancer, Mom. Documented. Confirmed. I've been in treatment for 6 months. So come after your appointment. It's at 6 p.m. You'll be done by then. Bone marrow biopsies are painful and exhausting. I'll need to rest. You're always tired. You're always resting. For once, can you just push through and be there for me? This is my night, Hannah. Don't ruin it with your attention-seeking behavior. Attention-seeking. My cancer was attention-seeking. At 34, I was the oldest of 2 daughters. My sister Kayla, 31, was a pediatric surgeon. Both my parents were in healthcare. Dad was an orthopedic surgeon, Mom was a nurse practitioner and nursing director at Riverside Medical Center. I was the black sheep. The one who'd gone into finance instead of medicine. The investment analyst who worked for a private equity firm. To them, I pushed papers and made PowerPoints. What they didn't know was what my firm actually did. We were healthcare-focused private equity. We acquired struggling hospitals, restructured them and made them profitable. 3 years ago, my firm had acquired Riverside Medical Center. I'd been the lead analyst on that deal. I was also now on Riverside's board of directors as a representative of the ownership group. I reviewed financial reports, operational metrics and personnel files when issues arose. Including my mother's. 6 months ago, a formal complaint had been filed against my mother. A patient reported that my mother dismissed her chest pain as anxiety and sent her home from the ER. The patient had a heart attack 2 hours later. The complaint was under review. As a board member, I'd recused myself. But I'd seen enough to know there were multiple similar complaints spanning 3 years. She didn't know I was on the hospital's board. She thought I worked in boring finance and had no connection to her hospital. But Saturday night at her awards ceremony in the hospital owned by my company, all of that would change. Hold up. Saturday morning I went to my bone marrow biopsy appointment. They positioned me face down and inserted a large needle into my hip bone to extract marrow samples. The pain was excruciating, a deep, grinding pressure that made me gasp despite the local anesthetic. All done, the nurse said after 30 minutes. Go home and rest. You'll be sore for a few days. I could barely walk to my car. I drove home, took pain medication and collapsed into bed. At 3 p.m. my mother called. Are you getting ready? The ceremony starts at 6. Mom, I can barely move. The biopsy was brutal. Hannah, stop being dramatic. Take some Tylenol and get dressed. I need you there. What will people think if my own daughter doesn't show up? They'll think she just had a bone marrow biopsy. Nobody knows about your supposed medical issues except family. I don't need people gossiping about you stealing attention from my award night. I have leukemia. That's not gossip. That's a fact. You have something. Probably anemia. These cancer doctors are too aggressive with diagnoses. But if you want to wallow in self-pity instead of celebrating your mother's achievements, that's your choice. She hung up. I lay in bed, pain radiating from my hip, and made a decision. I'd go. Not for my mother. but because I was tired of being called dramatic by someone who'd taken an oath to care for the suffering. I got dressed slowly, every movement painful. I wore a loose dress that hid my weight loss and drove to the hospital. The grand ballroom was elegant. 200 guests in formal attire. Hospital administrators, doctors, nurses, board members. I found my family's table near the front. Kayla was already there with my father. "Hannah, you made it." Kayla hugged me carefully. "How was the biopsy?" "Painful. But I survived." My mother appeared wearing a formal gown. She looked at me with disapproval. "You're late. And you look exhausted. Couldn't you have made more of an effort?" "I had a bone marrow biopsy this morning, Mom." "Yes, well, you're here now. Please try to smile. This is my night." The ceremony began. The CEO gave a speech about excellence in nursing. Then came my mother's award. Nursing Excellence Award for Outstanding Patient Care and Leadership. Linda Bennett has demonstrated exceptional dedication to patient care over 30 years. She embodies everything we value in nursing: compassion, clinical skill, and commitment to patient well-being. My mother walked to the stage beaming. She accepted her award and took the microphone. "Thank you to Riverside Medical Center for this incredible honor. Nursing has been my calling. Every day I come to work committed to putting patients first, treating them with dignity, and ensuring they receive the best care possible." I sat in my chair, hip throbbing, and listened to my mother talk about putting patients first while she'd spent 6 months calling my cancer attention-seeking. I've learned over 30 years that being a good nurse means empathy. It means listening to patients, believing them, and advocating for their needs. The irony was suffocating. I also want to thank my family. My husband, my daughter Kayla, who followed us into medicine. And my other daughter Hannah, who, well, Hannah has her own path. She's here tonight despite not feeling well, and I appreciate that, even though I wish she'd make more of an effort for important events. The audience shifted uncomfortably. Several people turned to look at me. Kayla gasped. "Hannah's been dealing with some health issues lately. Nothing serious, just the usual complaints young people have. But she tends to exaggerate. I'm glad she made it tonight despite her tendency toward drama." A man in the back stood up. I recognized him, James Chin, the CEO of our private equity firm. My boss. The majority owner of this hospital. He started walking toward the stage. Revelation. James Chin reached the podium. "Excuse me, Ms. Bennett." James Chin, majority owner of Riverside Medical Center. "May I have the microphone?" My mother's smile faltered. "Oh, Mr. Chin. Of course." He took the microphone. The room went silent. I apologize for the interruption. But I couldn't sit quietly after what I just heard. "Ms. Bennett, you mentioned your daughter Hannah has health issues that she exaggerates. Can you clarify?" My mother looked confused. "Well, Hannah's been having some medical appointments. Nothing serious. Just stress. She tends to make things sound worse than they are." "Nothing serious." James looked at me, then back to my mother. "Hannah works for my firm. She's been on medical leave for 6 months. Would you like to know why?" That's private. Acute myeloid leukemia. Stage 3. 5 rounds of chemo. Multiple hospital stays. A bone marrow biopsy this morning. That's not stress, Ms. Bennett. That's cancer." The room gasped. My mother went pale. "I didn't realize she said leukemia, but I thought." "You thought she was exaggerating?" James said coldly. "Hannah is on this hospital's board. She helped lead our acquisition. She's been working while fighting for her life. And you mocked her illness in front of 200 people." My father stood. "This is a misunderstanding." "Is it?" James held up his phone. "I have her medical records with her permission. I can read them out loud. Or we can talk about how a 30-year nurse can't recognize cancer symptoms in her own daughter." The CEO rushed up. "Mr. Chin, maybe we handle this privately." "No," James said. "Her mother made it public when she mocked her daughter during an awards speech." He turned to Mom. "You're getting an award for compassion. Yet you told your daughter to skip a biopsy for your ceremony. You said she should make more effort while recovering from a painful cancer procedure." "I didn't know it was serious," Mom whispered. "She told you she had leukemia. She told you about chemo. You chose not to believe her." He faced the CEO. "There are multiple patient complaints against her, all claiming she dismissed symptoms. We're investigating," the CEO said. Speed it up, James replied. Tonight proves those complaints are real. If she can't believe her own daughter, how can she care for patients? Then he picked up Mom's award. This award is for compassion. She hasn't shown any. It stays with the board. Mom sobbed. You can't do this, I've been here 30 years. You should have learned to believe patients, James said. You didn't. He stepped off the stage, came to me and offered his hand. Hannah, do you want to leave? Yes. Mom called after me, Hannah, please. This is a misunderstanding. I didn't look back. After the ceremony, the investigation moved fast. 8 patient complaints. 2 heart attack patients she sent home. 1 ruptured appendix. All labeled stress or anxiety. Her nursing license was suspended 6 months. She was fired as nursing director. Her award was officially taken back. The news went viral. Nurse mocks daughter's cancer while receiving compassion award. 3 days later, Mom called. Hannah, fix this. Tell them it's a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? I said. You mocked my leukemia. You told me to skip treatment. You dismissed my illness for months. I didn't know. I told you every detail. You chose not to listen. I'm your mother. You have to help me. No. You're a nurse who failed her patients and her child. These consequences are yours. He hung up crying. Kayla reached out separately. I'm sorry. I should have stood up for you. Thank you, I said. 2 weeks later, my biopsy showed remission. Chemo was working. James called. Your job is safe. When you're ready, we want you as senior vice president. 6 months later, I finished treatment. My scans were clear. I returned to work as SVP, leading acquisitions across 6 states. My mother's license was reinstated, but she never returned to nursing. Too many patients knew her name. We haven't spoken since. Kayla and I became close. She visited during follow-ups, celebrated each good scan. 1 year later, I gave a speech to new nurses in the same ballroom. Believing patients is the foundation of nursing, I told them. Not just when symptoms are obvious, but especially when they're invisible. I shared my story. My mother won an award for excellence, I said. But she couldn't see her own daughter was dying. Don't ever make that mistake. When a patient says they're suffering, believe them. The standing ovation lasted 10 minutes. My mother wasn't there. Her award still sits in hospital storage, never presented. A reminder that compassion isn't optional in healthcare. I survived leukemia. I survived a mother who called my cancer attention-seeking. And now I improve hospitals so no patient is dismissed the way I was. Some awards are earned. Some are rescinded. And some people learn too late that believing suffering matters more than any ceremony ever could.